Hey, it's SABAI. You're watching Neon Owl at Countdown.
Hey Jean, or hey SABAI. We are at Countdown, like you mentioned earlier. How are you feeling?
Feels great. I just gonna keep telling people this, but I got 8 hours of sleep last night. And as a touring artist, that is rare. So
Yeah.
I am pumped and ready.
That's awesome. I'm glad you got your sleep in because I know like touring life can be really tough and you get like a couple hours every night. And
It's
all
been
that.
the rough 3 days, but last night kind of resets everything, so I am really ready.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess you have had a lot happen recently. You have your tour, you have your label that you started up, and all that. So, but I guess that's at present. But if we want to rewind a little bit, like tell us a little more about your journey and how you got started.
Like long version or short version?
Whatever
Okay.
comes to mind.
So I actually grew up in Thailand, lived there until I was 16 years old. So when I moved to Canada when I was like 16, 17, and then I couldn't speak English at all when I moved, so it was really hard to make friends. I feel like Chinese people have their Chinese group, Korean have Korean, and because I'm like the only Thai kid in high school, it's so hard to make friends because I just couldn't speak the language, right? So that's how I ended up like getting into music more for that reason, because music is kind of like my only outlet and how I kind of make friends. And so I would be kind of sad story back then, but I'm comfortable sharing all of this now. But I remember for 3 years in high school when the bell ring, like the lunch break bell ring, I would be the first to run to the locker, grab my food, and then go into guitar practice room, so that people don't know that I don't have friends to eat lunch with. And that for like those 3 years, I would just like play piano, play guitar, and my passion for music really grew from those 3 years. And then when I went, after that, I went to university, and around that time was when I went to my first rave, and then it was Calvin Harris, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so incredible, everyone's coming out, and then all the love, the feeling of energy. So it really sparked this feeling that I want to be the person up there, and with how passionate I am with music and everything too. So I just start producing, start watching YouTube videos, and later on I start fighting with my parents a lot because my parents are like, what do you mean you want to be a musician? And I was like, yeah, this is what I want. And they're like, you're our only child. We literally sold the business in Thailand so that we could afford to like send you to North America. And then what do you mean you're not gonna like graduate? And we fought so much that and I knew that the hardest part was because they didn't want me to do music out of love. It wasn't like they was just like, this is gonna be really risky, like don't do it. So it's really hard for me to like not listen to them. But at the end of the day, like I remember feeling like slowly dying every day whenever I go to the university. I ended up dropping out, which I was 6 months away from getting my bachelor, and I was writing my final exam. I walk into the room, statistic I still remember, I wrote my name down and I handed a blank paper. So I purposely failed all my courses so that I don't have a plan B. So I went like all in music, and came back home, told my parents that. My parents didn't talk to me for a while, and then later on my mom saw that I really like wanted this, so she convinced my dad, and then like they took out another loan, sent me to an audio engineer school, and that's how I do like a 1-year program there to become an audio engineer. Met Ari, who is the co-founder of Monster Cat. So Monster Cat was like my dream label already. And then when I met Ari, I started exchanging his contact, my email. I started sending him email, just literally just like, hey, like this is my music, check it out. And there's something, I felt really lucky because I didn't have any work experience. My music was not good at all at that time, and Ari took a chance on me, and then he was like, hey, I know you really want this, do you want to come work for me as my assistant? Like my assistant just quit, and that was my foot in the door to the music industry. So I worked at Monster Cat for 8 years. And during that time, it's like, you know, I would work 10 to 6 during the day as like the office manager slash his assistant. And then after work, I would like grind on SABAI project, working on music. And during that time, it was really tough. It was really, really hard, but I kept at it. And after 6 years, they signed my song, my first song that I ever, second song that I ever put out, and it's called Million Days, which is the first signed release to a label, which is like my dream label, Monster Cat. And when it came out, it just started like going, and then it becomes like my biggest hit today. And that after that, you know, I just kept like releasing more music. And I think with the knowledge of the business side of the label, plus being an artist, that kind of gave me competitive advantage in a way. So SABAI has only been around for 3 years. So it's a very like 2020. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of long version, but that's kind of what happened before I got to here.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
We were looking into their eyes, resonating with that a lot because we come from similar background and going through the same challenges with family and going through music. So for you, do you have the most personal song to you that means the most, and would you be playing that today?
So every song is like I put out, there's no like a song that I don't believe in. Like every song that I put out are what I went through, and I 100% love it before I put it out. But I would say the one that really resonate with me the most, you know, there's always going to be Million Days. There's this one's called Daydream that's coming out next year or maybe 2025. And then there's another one called Say It Like You Mean It, which is another unreleased that I just finished with Elefante. So it's our second collab. So like these songs are very special. This year, I changed the way that I write music in terms of like the lyrics, the songwriting, where I would like fly in and be in person with the songwriters and vocalists, because the energy that you get when you are actually in the room writing with another artist, you can't replicate that over a Zoom meeting, you know. And so that has been the biggest shift in my music production this year, and I've been really, really attached to every song that I have coming up, or everything that I released this year, basically. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And we both love bass music a lot, but I'm especially very much a house head as well. And Scared was a very happy surprise to me because that was the house song I saw. And also with the collab with Rocket League, we were really curious how the song came to be.
So Scared was during 2020. I don't know if you guys remember when Spotify, it was like such a big thing, the slap house, Brazilian bass, you know, during that time. And I was like, what is this? This is so sick. And then I'm like, I'm gonna try to make this. So it was around Halloween too. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a song that sounds kind of spooky. But the lyrics that we wrote is actually about me dropping out of school. So the meaning behind it is actually about like going for chasing my dream and, you know, taking the risk. So yeah, so I'm really, really proud of that song. I work with my friend Claire Richley, who is incredible vocalist and a friend, and I love her so much. Yeah, so when we pitched that to Monster Cat, they were like, whoa, like this is different than your future bass, you know, but because it's a house track, it works really well in Rocket League, because Rocket League is a very like, you know, fun, like bouncy gaming music. So they basically pitch it to the Rocket League team, and then they really love it. So it got featured in Rocket League as it stayed in the loading game. When you load the game, it's like the song on the game for like 2 weeks or something. But yeah, that's how I guess Scared came together.
And what I was happy to see was on the cover art, I saw Thai languages on the walls. Would you mind sharing what that means?
Wait, where?
There were
on the
buildings. Yes, on the cover art.
Oh, I can't. Can you actually pull it up? There's a few, but I think there's one of them that just says ramen. Yeah.
Thai?
Yeah. Yeah. That's scary. So this was when I really loved this whole like futuristic type of movie. I was watching this TV show called Outer Carbon, I believe. And I was like, oh my god, these like futuristic, I love it. And I want to add a twist of showing people that I am Thai, because I really believe that I am like the only Thai EDM artist that kind of like make it to this like level at this point. If anyone else that's Thai out there that's doing EDM that I don't know about, you just reach out, love to know. But yeah, so I wanted to show people that I am Thai. I'm actually Thai Chinese. But because I grew up in Thailand, I'm like the culture is like very like, I'm like, I consider myself Thai. So a few of these words, it means, this one's darkness. This one is construction. And this one is scared. This purple one's scared.
So there's no ramen?
That's ramen.
Okay.
And that's stop.
Okay.
So all these words, I remember now, all these words are what I felt when I made this song, right? Back to like the Halloween that I was telling you about. So darkness, and then construction is like, as I was building this song, it felt like I was constructing something, and then scared, obviously.
And you were hungry?
And I was hungry. Yeah. And then the stop sign is actually, I had no idea that I was going to get asked about this, but the stop sign was actually me telling myself not to stop. Yeah.
Very, very curious about that.
I
Yeah.
love that. And I think like I really appreciate you sharing like really openly about your journey earlier, and like it's really great of you to do what you wanted in music despite challenges with parents and school and everything. So I'm curious, there's a lot that happens as an artist, and I feel like mental health is really important. So like what are some of the things along the way? You mentioned there were parts of the journey that were really tough. So what are some of the things that, sorry, I'm into this, okay. What are some of the things that you feel like you did that helped to have balance and kind of like ground, get you back to to your best self there?
Be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many stages of being like throughout this journey. I feel like I went through so many stages, but in a way I think it makes me understand myself as a person so much more. Like I found my purpose in life and everything through this journey, right? And my values, like why am I here, and like all of this. But to speak of like mental health, it is really, it's hard to explain in one, so I'm gonna go it in like stages. But I remember in the beginning I actually started wanting to become a music producer because I want people to know that I exist. So that 3 years of in high school, I remember feeling so insignificant that like I didn't have any friends. I really felt truly that if I disappeared the next day, other than my parents, no one would even know that I was gone. And that feeling is the worst feeling that I think I ever experienced. The feeling of like you have no values in life at all, And because of that, I wanted to become a music producer and DJ. Why? The reason of the true why back then for me was to get validation from other people that like I want to prove them wrong. I want to prove the world that like I exist, And then, but throughout that journey, I ended up falling in love with the values that how I can actually make impact to other people in the world. And it started to shift, and now I no longer seek validation from other people, and now that feeling of like now it's like within myself, but you can't skip a step, and then there's a step of like finance as well. It's like I was making like maybe like $10,000 the first 6 years of making music combined, and to like live and be like have no job, no goals. Like it was really tough. So it went through from like seek validation to finance and trying to like post on social media without like taking a toll on how other people like judge you. And I think now I'm at a stage where my next mental health thing that I'm dealing with is sleeping, you know. So but I'm also very not hopeful, and I know that I'm gonna beat it. And it's sleeping for me while touring is like my next mental health thing. I found a little hack, which after the show, you know, I would take a extremely cold shower, like freezing cold. Like I'm talking like you max it all the way to cold, and that kind of like cool your body down surprisingly. And then all the adrenaline kind of resets, and I'm able to like sleep a bit better. But it's been a journey, and I'm still trying to figure out. But yeah, you know, different stages that I went through. But right now, it's sleep for me for mental health. Yeah.
Got it. No, thanks for. I think it's important to break that down as well. There's like it's been a long music journey for you, and I'm curious. You talked about. It sounds like, you know, it started from a place of pain, like the music journey a little bit, like, and it sounds like you turned that pain into passion or pain to purpose, rather. And if we're to kind of loosely link that back, you just started up a record label, right? Ikigai, and that's the Japanese word for find kind of to help you find a purpose. So tell us more about. I mean, is that what you see? Like, what do you seek to kind of empower or like create with that label?
Yeah. So the word Ikigai. So going back a little bit, so Ari, the monster cat Ari, I consider him my mentor and the first person who believed in me more than I believed in myself. And I think in life, I feel like you would be very lucky when you meet someone who for the very first time where like they believe in you more than you see potential in yourself. And that's what Ari did to me. You know, he was like, Gene, you're working at the label, you know, you have access to the studio, you're gonna waste it all and then not push through. And then something speaks in me, like the translation of that is like, yo, Gene, you can do this, don't waste it. Whereas me at that time was, oh, I don't think I can do this. And for the first time, for someone to believe in you more than you did, you know. But anyways, Ari told me that he went through his own depression, like all of that too. And then for him, it was when he found purpose of why he was here, that's when everything changed. When he told me that, it didn't even make sense to me, you know. And then it was actually earlier this year, around I think December of last year, so about a year, where I truly found my purpose. I was in Houston, and then one day it just like popped, and I felt like I just saw the world in another way, where like, wow, like this is it, this is why I'm here, this is like my purpose. And this is, I think have you heard about the Myers-Briggs, the pyramid of like the security, and you keep going up, and at the very top it's the Maslow, and then the top is like the self-actualization. I think earlier this year, that was when I finally understood truly what that means, and that's when I like found like my purpose. And it was, and then the easiest way to describe it was the word Ikigai, which is the 4 quadrants of because when I found my purpose, I look at my life and I'm like, oh my God, I finally have that 4 things. Because if you only have one thing, you will always still feel like it's not fully it yet, like there's still some void in you, right? So for Ikigai, it's a 4 quadrants where you have to have a balance of you're doing something that you love, you're something that good at, something that is giving purpose to help other people in the world, and then something that you can make money from. And then like before that, you know, I might have like one thing, and then okay, now I have 2, and now I have 3, and I'm like, but I'm still broke. So I was like still not really fully happy. And once I had found the balance of all 4, that was when like, whoa, like I know who I am now, and like everything just clicked after that. And that's when I realized that I want to start a label to build a community that shares the values that I have, and I want to touch and build not only the artists but also all the creators, that whether there's like videographer, designers, people that like are in the creatives, that everyone's gonna go through this. Even you guys, I know you guys will go through this as well, right? And then through our art, from like musician, like all of that, that the fans will also experience these values, that it's like through Ikigai. So, you know, artists that I would want to sign, I don't care what genre they are. All I care is they are willing to be vulnerable and be true to themselves. And that is what I am trying to do with Ikigai. Yeah.
So we're at Countdown. We have a lot of fans. This is a special moment of the year. We would like to know if you had any moments that you were really grateful for this year and what you want to accomplish next year.
Like at Countdown or just this year?
For this year, things that you were grateful for and what are you looking forward to next year?
A few things. Definitely my girlfriend, Gina. Second is friends, you know, like Trevor, Jordan, Bruce. These are like my friends for life, that, you know, I felt like we grew up separately, not even in the same city, and we went through our own journey, and finally we found each other, and we're like, these are people that I can 100% be myself, and I know they can be too, and we have the same values, you know. So, and then third things is my tour with Huang. So we did our first co-headlining tour called Million Days Tour together this year, and it's been insane to, you know, do your own tour, fully understand what it takes to run a tour. And lastly, I also want to, you know, mention Elefante as well. So Elefante is another person that I'm extremely grateful for this year. So that's kind of like for my this year's that I'm grateful for. And then for next year, what I'm looking forward to is Thailand writing camp. So I'm going there for 3 weeks to do a writing camp to work on my music for upcoming year. And then I'm doing 2 tours that's already in the works. So there's Q1 tour, and then there's going to be another tour in the fall. Yeah, and then I have 2 Insomniac shows in January. So January 12th is at Nova in San Diego, and January 19th is in LA at Academy. These are like insane shows that I am like so grateful that I'm gonna be playing. Yeah. And then I'm putting out like a big body of work, music, probably 8 to 10 songs in the fall, and then we'll have like about like 2 singles throughout, and one with Lost in Dreams, and then another one with Monster Cat. Yeah.
Awesome. A lot of exciting stuff for next year already.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like planning like a year ahead. It's kind of crazy, but
That's life now.
That's life now.
That's life.
Oh yeah, that's a wrap. So thank you so much for your time. We're getting chills through our veins from some of your responses, because we're both Asian producers, and yeah, you're an inspiration, and I really wish to be where you are, and thank you for leading the way. Appreciate it.
Just take your time though, you know, like sometimes I think like we all do this to ourselves. I don't know why we do it, but we all do it. It's like we're so hard on ourselves, right? But at the same time, there's like, you can't compete with other people because you don't know how other people's lives are. The only person that you should compare yourself to is you yourself, but like yesterday, you know?
I get that in theory. I think maybe it's easier to say in retrospect now that you're in the spot you are here. But I guess when you were going through that journey, I'm sure it was like a process to tell yourself that too. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And that's when, you know, the mental health and everything, one of the stage that I was, when you asked me that question, same thing. It's like, how do I stop comparing myself? How do I stop getting jealous of other people, you know? Whereas now, like, I realize that it's not about that. It's like, there's no competition between you and your friends or anyone else. It's always been you and you know? So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Stole your heart and it was mine for the taking.